I met a family outside standing on the grass who was waiting for a loved one to come out of a mandatory check-in appointment. The son of the man who was inside told me, "I spent most of my life without my dad, and now that I have him back, they want to take him away from us." Beside this young man, his mother was on her knees crying. She looked up and said, "I don't know what I'll do without him." Other family members stood around with tears in their eyes, and I told them that all of us support them and want their family member and all immigrants to be free and to be respected. I offered them water, but that was all I could do. I can only imagine how helpless they all felt while the person they loved was inside awaiting his fate. Fortunately, a short while later, he emerged from this hellish building and they were able to leave as a family, and they left as quickly as they could. Now that man's lawyer, Matt Cameron, took the time to stand with us and share his perspective. He told us, quote, "It's so heartening to see so many people in one place with these signs and this energy. It means a lot to the man I came with this morning, and it means a lot to every single person coming in and out of here. Honestly, we were fully expecting him to be taken in, and I have to tell you this, having a crowd outside, knowing that we were going to walk outside and I would have to tell you that my client had just been taken in, I think is changing the way they're doing things. You need to know that it matters." In an email exchange later that same evening, this lawyer wrote, quote, "I really meant what I said about how encouraging it was to pull in and see so many people out there, and I know that it has to be making a difference in so many ways." And he added these words for all of us here. Quote, "Thanks again for picking up the torch at a time when too many people have convinced themselves that there is nothing that they can do. It absolutely matters to show up." Now, while that lawyer's client entered this building and was able to come back out, for so many immigrants, they can never be free. We don't even know who they are because many have disappeared in this system and have no representation. Another immigration lawyer I spoke with from New Bedford told me that one of the biggest challenges right now is just finding out where her clients are even located. When immigrants are imprisoned here, they're not allowed visitors and often not even phone calls, so they cannot call anyone for help. If a family member becomes aware of an abduction and reaches out to a lawyer, the lawyer then struggles to find out where the client is located. Now, ICE has an online detainee locator system. It's publicly accessible on their website, and that's typically what families and lawyers rely on to know the location of people. But this lawyer told me that the database is rarely updated within 72 hours, and sometimes it's never updated at all. For many immigrants, after they're abducted, they don't exist. Now, when those in prison here do have a lawyer, and that lawyer is able to learn that they are here, ICE often denies access to clients. We met an immigration lawyer here weeks ago who was waiting outside the building for hours, but ICE never let her inside to see, let alone speak with her client. Two other lawyers stated in a sworn court affidavit that they tried to visit their client in Burlington, but they were told for 2 days straight that, quote, "ICE does not allow lawyer visitations with clients held at the Burlington field office." It took those two lawyers 2 additional days of trying to enter this building before ICE let them in, and I want to tell you what they learned inside. Their client was a woman whose name is being withheld for fear of repercussions against her family. When the lawyers met her in an interview room, she was crying, her legs were swollen and painful, and she was shivering uncontrollably. According to their affidavit, the woman had recently had surgery before being abducted, and her doctor had advised her to walk regularly in order to prevent swelling. Walking was not an option because this woman was forced to spend 8 days in a windowless 8 by 10 foot cell with no bed and only a toilet in the middle of the room. If you need a visual aid, I am standing in an 8 by 10 rectangle right now. Now, after spending a couple days in this tiny room with a toilet in the middle, 2 other women were moved into that same room. It was so crowded that all 3 couldn't lie down at the same time, so they would take turns while someone leaned up against the toilet. The woman shared that she received 3 small meals per day. Quote, a small cup of oatmeal in the morning, a couple spoonfuls of pasta in the afternoon, and some sort of rice dish for dinner that looked like dog food. When one of the women had to use the toilet, the others would use their aluminum sheets to cover them so they could have some semblance of privacy. These women showed more humanity than any ICE agent or DHS bureaucrat inside this building. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather have our communities filled with compassionate immigrants than armed, sadistic federal agents. Now, sadly, our government has now gone all in to expand their anti-immigrant violence. ICE now has enough money to truly become a nationwide domestic army. As the lawyer who spoke to us last week warned, quote, ICE will become a regular part of our lives and of American life. And I believe him. If our government is going all in on ICE, we must go all in our opposition. We must go all in voicing our support for immigrants and their rights. Now, I care about many other issues, but my focus is set on immigration because I believe that all of the other causes I support are dependent on this immigration fight. For instance, how can we expect a government that violates human rights at home to ever practice a foreign policy that values human rights abroad? How can we expect a government that abducts grandmothers, mothers, and sisters to ever care about a woman's right to control her own body? How can I expect a government that separates families to ever care about children? How can we expect a government that provides endless funds for ICE to ever invest in healthcare and education? How can we expect a government that builds concentration camps on protected land to ever care for the environment? How can we expect a government that overrides the will of democratically elected state officials to ever care about voting rights? How can we expect a government that harasses, arrests, and imprisons people because of where they were born and how they look to ever care about racial justice? How can we expect a government that militarizes our cities and towns to ever support gun control? This is why I'm focused on immigration, not because I don't care about other issues, but because I believe that our government's anti-immigrant project will lead to the undoing of everyone's rights. As bad as the situation is right now, our government is only in the early stages of their mass solution for immigrants. So that means this is our moment to build a mass resistance. We can do this without changing who we are. In fact, our commitment to nonviolence is vital for building a formidable resistance for a simple reason. Peace is always more welcoming than violence. Love is always more welcoming than cruelty. And if we are to achieve a scale of solidarity that has not been seen since the civil rights and Vietnam protests, We must welcome everyone who supports immigrants and their rights, regardless of their views on any other political or social issues. We must accept our differences and our imperfections and keep focused on the mission. We must avoid distractions and division and stand together in loving solidarity. Thank you.